shifted. Anyway, hey, Cody Cox here with Bridge City Factors, coming to you on a beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest. And I had to run a short errand this morning. And as I was driving back home, I got to thinking about the value of connections and how connections is so important to not only in our everyday lives, but also what we do as fund managers for a note fund. And they really matter. And of course, the ones I think are the top ones have to do with family, friends, and in our business and our investors. And so maintaining those relationships are really what the core of life is, and really important to what we do here at Bridge City Factors. And I think about it here. My business really isn't just about notes. It's really about, as a fund manager, managing those various relationships. Notes just are the vehicle that I get to do that right now. So basically, we have four groups that we serve with as fund managers, and those four groups are our investors, our sources, our vendors, and of course our borrowers. So, when it comes to our investors, the important part of that is that they put their trust in us. Not only they're putting their capital, but they put their trust in us. And so with that, we make the day-to-day decisions that steward their capital that they place with us. So making sure that I keep that relationship with them, that I have an opportunity to work with them, talk with them, see what their needs are an important part of what we do at Bridge City Factors. Another part of those four is the sources where we get our notes. It's important that we maintain good sources for that, because the better that relationship grows, the better opportunity we have to get in quality product. And one of the important things about our sources of notes, whether it comes from another bank, a note broker, maybe another investor, or any of those type of things, what's important on it is when we make that commitment that we're going to buy that particular note or group of notes, is that we do that we don't get down the road and all of a sudden, withdraw from that. We get nervous. That's things that maybe first time note investors might do, because, it's a big decision. You're doing a lot of capital on that. Maybe sometimes that happens in other funds, but that's the important part of maintaining that relationship, is that you do what you say you're going to do. Another one of the important people that we work with is our vendors. We have a lot of back office things that help us, whether they're title companies or companies that we use that will give us an O&E report that tell us about the title of the property or the value of the property. Various realtors or attorneys or all those things across the country that we use. I have to maintain good relationships for that, because the better relationship and connection I have with our back office vendors, the more smoother the transaction goes. I want to make sure that they're understanding where we're coming from, and that the best thing for us is to work with them and make sure that they're still working on our stuff. I mean, it's the old adage that says the squeaky wheel, gets the grease. Well, there's a part of this that says the squeaky wheel gets replaced. And so I want to make sure that I'm working with our vendors uh, in a way that they succeed in the way that we succeed, and then our investors succeed as well as the sources succeed. And then finally, and probably the key to a lot of this, is the borrowers that we work with. The borrowers to me are the ones that kind of drive the wheel. It's their payments that come into the fund that make all this thing work. And the thing that I think often gets forgot when you're investing in notes is that there are real borrowers out there. There's people behind those notes. People that go to work, people making the payments, people that are raising their kids in their house. They're taking them to baseball games and all the things that involve somebody living in a house. And take a think about it for just a moment here. Your house and what you do and all that it does, where you eat your meals and the kids raised, and maybe you got the notches on the doorway about how they've grown. Those are all things that are important. And this is how this whole system works together. And it's up to us as fund managers to keep that whole system working together, because everything is connected. And so when it comes down to this, the real goal of all this note fund that I manage with my son Has to do with stewardship, stewardship of the investor's capital, stewardship of working with our sources of income to make sure we're closing on the notes that they're offering to us and the ones we've committed on, stewardship of the time and the resources of the vendors who help us do all the behind the scene things that nobody notices. You know, the investors out there don't notice that. That's why they hire us, is to take care of all that information and all that work for us. And then, of course, stewardship of the borrower's money as they make the payments to us and make sure that we're giving them a good opportunity for success in home ownership. It all begins with the people. And when we do it right and it's all working together, then everyone wins. And that's it. It's a win, 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 win situation. So that's Cody Cox. Again, Cody Cox with Bridge City Factors. Focus on passive income, peace of mind, and no noise. Happy investing out there.